on.
From the Weather Channel, this is Storm Stories with meteorologist Jim Cantore.
A severe thunderstorm is pounding the southeastern U.S., a storm that makes travel extremely dangerous, especially in the air. 1 in 20 severe thunderstorms pack what airline pilots know as the deadliest weather phenomenon of all, a microburst. It is a deadly hazard with winds that can push toward Earth at speeds up to 120 miles an hour. It has caused dozens of plane crashes and taken more than 500 lives in the U.S. alone. But the weather is the last thing on Jason Sturkey's mind as he boards a DC-9. The 20-year-old university student is heading off to celebrate the 4th of July with family members.
It's just a hot summer day, and we took off, headed for Charlotte.
What Jason and the 54 other people aboard Flight 1016 don't know is that a deadly microburst is forming in their path. Near Charlotte, Jason sees the sky turn black.
You want to go back through it?
I remember one time shortly before the crash just looking out, and it was just really dark gray and raining heavily. Couldn't see very far at all. That was fairly scary.
A 60-mile-per-hour microburst moves over Charlotte's Douglas International Airport. As the pilots begin their final descent, they unwittingly head directly toward the crushing wind. A microburst occurs when a narrow, cold, downrushing air current, called a downdraft, forms in and beneath a thunderstorm. The downdraft forms as hail melts and rain evaporates, generating a cold air pocket that accelerates downward. It may draw dry air in from the outside and beneath the cloud, enhancing the evaporation. The cold, heavy air rushes to Earth at high speeds, then rushes outward and bounces violently back up. It's this downward-moving column of air that rebounds off the ground that creates havoc for airliners. This animated reconstruction shows what happens to Flight 1016. The plane makes its final approach to the airport. The pilot reduces power to land. As the plane descends, it enters the edge of the microburst, and the nose is forced up.
1016, understand you're on the go, sir. Fly runway heading, climb and maintain 3000. Up to 3, we're taking the right turn here. USAir 1016, understand you're turning right.
Jason tenses amid the raging thunderstorm.
And I felt a sudden drop. And I felt the stomach rise like on a roller coaster. And then I could hear the engine start revving up to a very high pitch. The plane started vibrating violently.
The pilot corrects the lift, and then the plane is forced down by the core of the microburst. The plane rips through a pine forest and smashes into an oak tree, snapping the fuselage into 3 sections. Jason is in the tail section, which skids violently across the residential street, scooping up everything in its path. The tail section shears off the side of a vacant house, where it finally comes to a stop. Jason is buried up to his neck in shredded metal.
Report of an airplane down Wallace Neal Road near Old Down Road, engine 21, ladder 13, blaze 2, tanker 21.
Jason has no idea that help is on the way.
I opened my eyes and I was lying flat on my back in a pile of debris. I could hear some people moaning and screaming, crying, but there was nothing I could do. I mean, I tried to actually get up. I actually thought for a moment that I could actually pick the stuff up off of me and sit up and walk away. But it didn't take me long to realize that there was no way to do that.
Not only is Jason unable to move, but the plane is on fire, and he is soaking in jet fuel.
I could taste it, I could smell it. It was all in my mouth and my nose, and there was some fire off to my right, and it was burning my face pretty badly. From the heat from it was burning my face, but I could hear it crackling and sizzling and making all kinds of hissing and popping noises. And that was extremely scary, wondering if I was going to catch on fire.
Veteran Charlotte firefighter Captain Harry Rogers and his crew from Airport Fire Hall number 21 rushed to the scene.
Engine 21, tanker 21, pull your foam blinds off, it's attacking the fire with foam, right away.
Once we pulled up on the scene, it looked like hell on earth.
The burning plane has crashed into the side of a house, and both the plane and the house are now on fire. The firefighters' biggest fear is that the aircraft fuel tanks will explode.
The way that fuselage from the wings to the tail was positioned, as soon as you walked through the door, you were in the airplane.
As the crew douses the flames, Harry searches for survivors.
Anybody hear me? Over here. Anybody hear my voice? Over here. Hey, buddy. You all right? Tell me where you heard him. Oh, no.
I found Jason Sturkey. He was semi-conscious. I could tell he was seriously injured.
You're 21 to squad 10, ladder 2, and then you bring your extrication equipment, rams, spreaders, anything you can get in here. I got victims trapped inside of this fuselage.
Jason has a broken pelvis, crushed rib, and a collapsed lung. He can barely speak.
They had to cut away so much debris to even get close to me, it seemed like. But to me, it seemed like forever.
Hang with us, buddy. We'll get you out of here, okay? We're going to smoke it up to our taste. Okay?
For Harry, it is one of the most difficult rescues he has ever coordinated.
Jason was the hardest one to get out. If you can envision a gigantic ball of tinfoil, stick a lot of debris in it, and then put a human being in the middle of it and just crumple it all together. That's what it looked like.
Harry's crew worked tirelessly, breathing in flammable jet fumes as they clear the wreckage off Jason and others piece by piece. More than an hour and 20 minutes later, firefighters finally lift Jason from the wreckage.
I remember running with me across a field, and they put me in a helicopter. The next thing I know, I opened my eyes and I could see fluorescent lights passing over my head. And so I realized I was in a hospital, and that's when I really just let everything go because there was nothing more I could do.
Jason spends days in critical condition. He is eventually told that his mother and nephew were among the 37 people who did not survive the crash.
I was sitting right between the two of them, and I ended up in a little bit different part of the plane and somehow survived.
In air travel, microbursts are the most deadly hazard there is. And because of that, NASA and other agencies have dedicated more than a decade of research into technology that can detect microbursts from inside the plane. At NASA's Langley Research Center, scientists use a flying laboratory to test their new microburst detection systems. An onboard radar sensing device can detect the speed of water particles in the air. If they're going unusually fast, a sign of a microburst, an alarm goes off, and the pilot has a few seconds to change course to avoid the hazard. An infrared detector can also warn of cool columns of air ahead, another sign of a microburst. While these technologies are becoming standard equipment on newer planes, many older ones do not have them at all. At the time of Jason's crash, the Charlotte Douglas International Airport did not have terminal Doppler radar, which could have detected the microburst and helped warn the pilot. Technology can make travel safer, but it will never take all the risk out of flying in storms.
Hello, Jason.
Hey, how you doing?
Good to see you.
4 years later, Jason decides to visit the crash site. He meets up with Harry, and they go together.
Your section from the wings on back to the tail section
continues across the road, you can see the skid marks still in the pavement.
For Jason, visiting the site of the crash for the first time brings it all back.
It just seems almost like a dream in a way, but I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't been there.